All right. So the poem we're going to look at this week is called "The Demon Lover," and this is there's a lot of poems that are very similar to this one. It's kind of almost kind of like a folk tale in the early years of Scotland, and the title should tell you a little bit of what it might be about. So to start off with, the poem structure of The Demon Lover, it's going to be a ballad. Basically, a ballad is going to be a poem that its stanzas are broken down into four lines called quatrains. The beginning's abrupt. It's told there's a lot of dialogue throughout. There's a lot of action that's happening, and it usually has some sort of message, some tragic, sad message at the end as well. So the first stanza, the first quatrain we have, and before I begin, actually, I want to make point out a few things. We know that it's dialogue because of this little symbol here. And I broke down so it would help you understand who's speaking what. So whenever the woman is speaking, I put it in purple. Whenever the man is speaking, I put it in blue, just to kind of help you understand. So the line reads, "Oh, where have you been, my long, long love, this long 7 years and mair? Oh, I've come to seek my former vows ye granted me before." So already we can tell that this poem so far is a conversation between two people. You can already tell through the use of the word mare, ye, oh, that this is kind of a language of the common folk in Scotland. It's not high English, it's kind of lowbrow. And to summarize this stanza, we have a former lover kind of showing up out of the blue and saying, "Hey girl, I want you back. Like, I know I was gone, but, I'm here for you now." Oh, hold your tongue of your former vows, for they will breed sad strife. Oh, hold your tongues of your former vows, for I am became a wife. So basically, this woman, she's not interested. She says, "Yeah, I understand that you're here, but like you're long gone. I'm over you." You can tell kind of from her language that she's not very sympathetic to her former lover. Oh, hold your tongue. She said that twice, repetition. Oh, hold your tongue. Oh, hold your tongue. She's kind of throwing it back in his face. So she doesn't seem swayed at all. She seems really angry, and I would be too if I was with somebody for a long time and they left me for 7 years and they showed up like, well, here I am. But that's just me. He turned him right and round about, and the tear blinded his eye. I would never had trodden on Irish ground if it had not been for thee. Oh, so I mean, look, the she told him off, and he feels really bad. He has this one tear coming down his eye, and he says, "I never would have trodden on Irish ground if not for you. I never would have, even come to this foreign land if it had not been for you. I did all this for you." So, the poem's kind of trying to make us see, oh, maybe he's a nice guy. Maybe he made a mistake. He's really trying to win her back. Yeah, just trying to again make us a little sympathetic towards him. Next stanza. I might have had a king's daughter far, far beyond the sea. I might have had a king's daughter had it not been for love of thee. So, kind of to briefly summarize, he says in the last one, he says, he's crying and he says, I never would have come to Ireland if I didn't love you. And then he goes, in fact, I could have married a princess. I could have married a princess from wherever I wanted to, but I didn't because, I loved you so much. So instead of like this one being kind of sad, now it's kind of changed to he's kind of bragging. He's like, "I could have like the hottest girl in the room, but I really want you instead." So there's some arrogance. There's a different change in how the man is speaking. The woman replies, "If ye might have had a king's daughter, yoursel ye had to blame. Ye might have taken the king's daughter, for ye kenned that I was nane." Now there's a lot of the dialect tripling through, but basically, she's not impressed. When he says to her, "I could have married a princess," she'd basically be like, "So what? Like you could have had a princess. I don't care." This last line here, "For ye kenned that I was nane," in the Scottish dialect, nane means none. So she's basically saying, "Yeah, you could have had a princess, and that'd have been your fault because you know that I'm not a princess. Like, I'm just this humble person living here, not a princess. So it was your fault if you wanted one. And I'm not sorry that I'm not a princess for you." She still seems angry. Like her tone hasn't changed at all. Like he showed up in the beginning and she was still pretty, she's like, why would I come with you? Like I have a husband now, hold your tongue. And then she's like, oh, wow, like you could have had a princess. I'm not impressed at all. So she's still holding her ground. If I was to leave my husband dear, and my two babes also, what have you to take me to, if with you I should go? So whenever I'm reading this, I'm thinking to myself always, this is how I break down a poem, of why is it important that the poem includes the information, the fact that she has a husband and two kids? What is that supposed to do for me? Is that supposed to make me feel, okay, she should definitely stay because she has these husband and two kids? Is it trying to make me feel better or worse for her? Just why is it here? And basically, now, just in summation, we kind of see a twist. She still seems a little angry, just like before, but now she seems a little willing. She's almost like, if you can convince me to leave my husband and babies, then I'll come with you. She kind of doesn't expect that to happen, but she also kind of wants it too. She's like, if you can show me something so good that I have to leave my husband and kids for, then like, it'll be really good, right? So she's almost opening the door a little bit for him. He replies, I had 7 ships upon the sea, the 8th brought me to land, with 24 bold mariners, and music on every hand. Dang, okay, so he just drops the mic here. So he just says, oh yeah, you want to leave your man and your babies for me? Well, I'm so rich, I got 8 boats. And again, this is medieval times. This is castles and knights and swords, no medicine. So eight huge ships, which they used to trade, means this man is rich. I mean, he struck it good. He mentions the fact that he has 24 bold mariners. Not only do I have ships, I have all these people underneath me. I have all these sailors, so it means I have to have a way to pay them. So once again, he's kind of flaunting how rich he is. And then the last line, and music on every hand. So back in the day, there was no Netflix, there was no Spotify. It was basically for entertainment. You had these musicians that kind of traveled the land, and they sung tales and told stories, and that was basically the main form of entertainment back then. So the fact that he's saying I have music everywhere I go means he's paid a musician to be on retainer. And again, that might not sound crazy, but again, try to imagine that a Spotify or an Apple Music account costs like $10,000 a month, and you meet somebody that has that Spotify account. You're going to try and be good friends. Like, it's very impressive to have in that context. So again, in this paragraph, he's flaunting his wealth. He's saying, this is why you should leave your kids. He's almost tempting her. She's like, well, can you tempt me? He's like, yeah, look at all this temptuous stuff. She has taken up her 2 little babes, kissed them baith cheek and chin. Oh, fare ye well, my ain 2 babes, for I'll never see you again. And just like that, she says, you know what? I am going to leave my husband and kids. That's pretty great. And what's kind of interesting to note, she doesn't seem very sad. She gives him a kiss. She's like, bye, babies. I'll never see you again. Like, what kind of mother says that to her kids? Like, that seems like I'm trying to understand, why is she doing this? Like, what am I supposed to learn here? And what expectations? What kind of woman is this? What information am I seeing? Do I want a good ending for this woman, or do I want a bad ending? She set her foot upon the ship. No mariners could she behold, but the sails were o' the taffety, and the masts of beaten gold. So a couple things to note here. One, the sails o' the taffety. Taffety basically means it's a form of silk, and silk is a very expensive luxury. So she's running away with her former lover after leaving her kids, and she gets on the boat and she's like, there's no sailors here. There's just me and my former lover. But then, she kind of, where all the mariners you said you had? Oh, but I'm gonna forget that because look, the sails are silk and the masts are made of gold. So it's almost like this is kind of a foreboding. It's like, oh wait, there's no sailors here. Maybe he's lying. Oh, but who cares? Like, look at all this expensive stuff. So she's not paying attention to what may be important. She's being swayed by the expensive stuff. She had not sailed a league, but barely three, when Dismal grew his countenance, and Drumly grew his eye. So important things to know. So when they say a league, they kind of mean a week. So they've been sailing for about 2 weeks now. And the poem states that the man is changing somehow. And I'm wondering, how is he changing? When it says Dismal grew his countenance, dismal means like gloomy, depressing. So, and countenance means attitude. So this line basically means they traveled for 2 weeks and he's starting to kind of get a little grumpy. And Drumly grew his eye. Drumly, that's basically, it's a weather term and it means like dark and stormy. So his eye is growing dark and stormy, and his attitude is growing really gloomy. And I like how they're using these terms you could use for the ocean, because that they're surrounded by the ocean. That's the setting. So the setting is almost matching the mood, and I think that's really cool. She had not sailed a league, but barely three, when I already did that. When Dismal grew his countenance and Drumly grew his eye. So I just want to talk about this some more. It's the same one as the last slide. Just want to talk about more. There are also some potential themes or symbols that I do want to discuss here. A symbol, again, is something, it's an object that stands for a greater message or idea. And one symbol that I think might be clear is going to be the ship itself. So when you're thinking, what great message could the ship have? Well, whenever you get on a ship, a boat, you're literally traveling to a different place. You're going from the Gulf of Mexico to Cancun. You're physically moving. Therefore, if you're literally moving to a different place, then you're literally changing in some way. So I think for me, whenever they're on this ship, it's a symbol or possibly theme for change. This woman's life is never going to be the same as soon as she steps on this ship, which again, the ship is kind of just like the symbol or idea of this change. The next thing I want us to think about as maybe a symbol or a theme is going to be the ocean. I want you to think of what the ocean could possibly represent. Maybe the ocean means life because it's teeming with little creatures and it's vast. Maybe it means change because erosion and it changes things. Maybe it means danger because when you think ocean, maybe you think flooding or a typhoon or hurricane. But for me, in this context, I think the ocean might be a symbol for purgatory. And I know some of you might think in purgatory, what is purgatory? Well, purgatory, it's part of the Christian belief system. And basically, so when a person dies, they don't immediately go to heaven or hell. Instead, they kind of get sent to a middle ground, purgatory. And it's often depicted as this huge, vast, empty space. Just think of a cornfield stretching as far as the eye could see, and you're in the middle of it. Or you're in the middle of this huge grassy plain. And basically in purgatory, you kind of wait for your sentence. You die, you go to purgatory, and then eons later, lifetimes later, because there's so many people there just waiting to be judged, you're then determined, okay, you're going to heaven, or actually you're going to hell. But purgatory is the spot you go to first to wait for your judgment. And for me, the ocean feels a lot like purgatory. Because one, it's if you're in the middle of the ocean, that's all you can see. It's this vast, ever-changing, unchanging void. So it's almost like that cornfield, just waves as far as the eye could see. And two, she's kind of been here for a long time. She's almost waiting her sentence. What's going to happen? And again, and I'm always thinking, why is this information included? Why does the poem have these things in it? What could I do with this information? And I may be right, I may be wrong, but by thinking this way, I can unpack the poem. New stanza. They had not sailed a league, but barely three, until she espied his cloven foot, and she wept right bitterly. Okay, so once again, they're sailing for a couple of weeks, and then she spots something. Her former lover, he has hoofs for feet. What is a man with hooves? What does that mean he is? Think of the title of this poem. What's the title of the poem? It's Demon Lover. So we find out here that the man, her former lover, that she threw her whole life away, that tempted her to come on this boat and leave, we find out that he's basically a demon. And she knows it immediately. She sees the hoof and she knows, and that's why she just starts crying right away. Oh, hold your tongue of your weeping, says he. Of your weeping now let me be. I will show you how the lilies grow on the banks of Italy. So a couple things I want us to note here. One, how does the man sound now? Think about how he spoke to her earlier. He was crying, I never would have come here. And then he was, oh, I could have married any princess, but I came back because I love you. And now he says, oh, hold your tongue. Shut up, basically. Stop crying. Shut up. Remember, she told him earlier, oh, hold your tongue first. Remember? Like way earlier, she says, almost there. Oh, she says this, oh, hold your tongue. And he's like almost bringing back right what he says. He's throwing it back in her face as well, by saying, oh, hold your tongue of weeping. Oh, shut up. And then she replies back, oh, what hills are yon pleasant hills that the sun shines sweetly on. On yon are the hills of heaven, he said, where you will never win. So she finds out that he's basically the devil or a demon, and she's kind of freaking out, and she looks and she sees these beautiful hills, and she's like, oh, what are these beautiful hills for? And he says, that's basically heaven, and by the way, you're not going there. So I'm thinking, where is she going to go? Oh, what a mountain is yon, she said, all so dreary with frost and snow. Oh, yon is the mountain of hell, he cried, where you and I will go. So it's almost a repetition of what happened in stanza 13 is now being had here. She sees the hills of heaven, and now she's seeing the mountains of hell, where he's saying, you're going to go there. And I like the tone. She seems almost scared. Like she sees that she's a devil, and then to distract herself, she's like, oh, what's this? What's this? Like she's trying to take her mind off the fact that she loves the devil, that she ran away with the devil. He struck the topmast with his hand, the foremast with his knee, and he brake that gallant ship in twain and sank her in the sea. This is the last line of the poem, where he destroys the boat. He rips down the sails, he rips down the things holding the sails, the ship sinks, and they both die. And where did the demon say that him and the woman are going to go? To hell. Now that we know the story, I want us to kind of think about, did this woman deserve this fate? Did she deserve to go to hell? Yes, she was tempted. Yes, she left her family, but, maybe there were circumstances. I mean, that's a pretty intense punishment for, making a mistake like this. And I also want to think of the time period. What message is this telling the people of Scotland way back in medieval times? Why does this poem exist? Why would men want women to hear this? Or why would, society push this poem? Anyways, that is The Demon Lover. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can have some good conversations about it. Thank you very much.